Welcome, fresh from my unboxing of the new Tristan Hall game, Veilwraith. I've played a game, so I thought it might be time to do a setup and initial impressions after my first game. So, without further ado, I've started to set up the play area. And so most of this stuff is pretty simple. You can get it from the setup in the very good instruction manual. Basically got our 3 power tokens, 1, 2, and 3, and we've got them initially assigned to explore, fight, and influence. I'll talk about how they work in a minute. I've also set up my round phase summary, which tells me what I need to do. I've got my spirit dial, which I have set to 20. I've got a pile of tokens, plus 1 tokens, and my ribbons, which I probably won't need because we use those for the campaign as we go through. I've also pulled out the portal card, which is the card that you'll need to defeat when you have to escape from the Vignette, number 1, which we're going to try, and the Archfiend card, who stays out until we go through our threat deck, and then he gets added in, and if he pops, it's game over. And so you basically get 1 go through the threat deck. If you need to go through it the second time, then the clock is ticking. I also have my set of memory cards, and we're going to start with, have a look at how we set up for Vignette number 1. This is the Lost Ruins. This is the recommended one from the book. The nice thing about each of these cards is it tells you that it's number 1, that it has a explore value for 3, which we will need when we face the portal for this end of session. But it also has got some other useful information which I'll go over. So first of all, I've set aside space for my discards, my threats, space for my memory discards, and I've got an area up here which I will use for my keys. So you have to unlock 5 keys to unlock the portal before you can escape from this particular scenario. So yeah, memory cards, you start with 20 basic memory cards. As you play through the campaign, you can upgrade those as you move through the different adventures. So I've got the first 20 basic ones, and they just get shuffled. I do recommend, my sleeves haven't arrived, I do recommend getting some tarot-sized sleeves because there is quite a bit of shuffling in this game, and sleeves always make that a lot better. So those go there because we draw one of those every turn. So the rest of the setup is pretty much determined by the vignette that we're playing, so number 1. So we have a set of cards, our threat decks. There's a whole lot of threat cards that are in the box. As recommended in the rulebook, it's good to keep them in alphabetical order because it'll make building your game a lot quicker. So the first thing you need to do is make 5 piles with your key cards. So you pull out the 5 keys, and each of those get shuffled. So we shuffle those up, and we make 5 stacks of cards. So these are starting to build our threat deck. Then we look at our vignette card, and it tells us who our foe is. And in this case, it says it's Goblin King, and he's going to go into stack number 4. So you find the Goblin King. I've already pulled him out. He goes in stack number 4. Then you build the rest of your threat deck based on the cards at the top. So we need 3 enforcers, 3 fighters, 3 goblins, 3 healers, 4 hobgoblins, 4 mystics, and 4 pariahs. And so you pull out, so it's 3 goblins. I've got my mystics. I've pulled out my healers, hobgoblin, fighter, enforcer, and pariah. And if there's more of a particular type in the box, say if there was 4 goblins, you shuffle them and grab 3 at random, because they do have, some of them have slightly different attributes. So you can see these goblins are pretty much the same, except for this one has a -2 spirit at the end of the level, and that one's a -1. So he's considerably worse to have on the board. So you do that. Then I give these a bit of a shuffle, because, so we'll give these a bit of a shuffle first, because of course you want to give them a bit of a mix up. So these are the cards, the threats that have come from the top there. once those are shuffled up, they then get evenly spread across the piles. And of course, we've got one card there already. And so we will then allocate to the 5 decks. And then what we do is to build our actual threat deck is we shuffle each of these piles and stack them from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so we know that the Goblin King is in stack number 4, and we know every stack has a key in it, so it distributes the keys throughout the threat deck, and we know that the foe is going to turn up later on. So that gives us a bit of time to prepare. So we take number 5 and give that a light shuffle, put it on the side. Stack number 4, give that a light shuffle, goes on top. 3, 2, and the nice thing with this is because it's got a fairly even distribution of the keys give you special abilities that you can then use throughout the game. So as you make your way through the threat deck, there we go. So that is the threat deck sorted. I've got my memory deck, and I've got my Vignette number 1. And so the way we would play basically is we take a memory card, and then we play a threat, and then we try and defeat that threat. We defeat that threat by using either explore, fight, or influence. And the way that that works with these numbers is these are almost like, I guess you could call it default power ratings. And so say some critter comes out and he's got a fight of 2, I've already got fight of 2 allocated. So I could activate my fight, I'd be using a 2, but every time I activate anything, it goes down to the 1 level. And so that would be the end. For that turn, you can activate 1 card unless you've got an ability that allows you to do a second one. Your other cards, you can do 1 tilt. And if you do a tilt, you get to add a +1 token on it. So that would mean in future turns, I would have influence of 4. And say that was the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, everything writes itself. And then say some other threat comes out that requires 4 influence, I could tap that one, use the token, that would be 4 influence I've used, and everything shifts along. And so you can increase the power across the influence, fight, and explore based on what you're using, which moves it across, and tilting to get tokens. And it seems a little bit confusing initially, but it flows really well in the game and becomes very easy to use. And so that's how we would start off with explore. It's alphabetical, so it's explore, fight, influence. And so say if I was going to play a turn, beginning of round, we draw 1 threat from the threat deck. And we've got a goblin. And so a goblin has got a value of 4 to attack. If I was going to attack it, I would need 4. He's a coward, so he gets removed from the game when we defeat him, which is good, which means he doesn't go back in if we reshuffle. And every turn that he is out and active, I will lose 1 spirit at the end of the round. So he's not too bad. So then I would draw a memory card. Oh, this is perfect. So I've drawn a memory card, I've drawn the Memory of Blood. So the Memory of Blood allows me to get an extra 2 on my fight. So I can play that straight away. So that would give me 2 plus 2. I'll activate fight. Discard that. He gets discarded and I'll take him off the board because he's out of the game. So I can do 1 activation unless I've got a card that lets me do otherwise. And I think I'm going to tilt. I'm going to tilt my explore and get a token. Get a +1 on there. So, end of round, we discard any played memories. I've already discarded it. We rotate our actions, ready for the next round, and we would remove any spirit from my spirit dial for threats, but I don't have any. So we go to the next round. So we draw another threat. Mystic. Mystic has a played keyword, which happens as soon as they get played. So reveal threats until you reveal a key, put it in play, shuffle and replace it. So basically we pull off cards until we get a key. There we go. Take the ones we've shuffled, or ones we've just taken off, because you don't want to reshuffle the deck, because of course it's got its own ordering, and put that in play. And so the Mystic is going to take 5 influence to remove the threat, and the key will take 5 of the explore. So I've got 3 influence, I've got 3 explore, so not great. At the end of the round I would lose 2 spirit if the Mystic's still in play. Yeah, and so I would draw a memory card, and I get a card that gets me back 1 spirit. So this is the Memory of Creation, so that'll be handy later on. You can have up to 6 cards in your memory, that's fine. You could also use a card to gain another memory card. So I can't defeat any of these, and I probably want to have a go at this, so I'll tilt that one to get a +1 for hopefully next round. I'll use that for its gain another card, and that's I got a +1. I got the Memory of Home, it's +1 on my Explore. Which I probably should have done it in the other way round, because then I could have put the token on there. Anyway, render round. We untilt those. I take 2 spirit damage, and why don't I do one more round? Draw another threat. Healer. Okay, so healers takes 5 to defeat. It will have -1 at the end of the round, but I'll get a +1 when I defeat her. The nice thing is she has a gain 1 spirit when she's played, so I gain 1 for free. So I was lucky I had something that I needed. Gain a memory card, and I have the Memory of Home. That gets me nearly enough. Oh no, that gives me enough. So if I play both those, they'll give me +2, +3, 4, 5. Means I can tap that, as it were, and I'll have the key. Power. So I've got 1 key. I have to get 5 keys before 5 keys, defeat the foe, then I can open the portal. So this, and when you've got a key, it has 2 abilities. So you can either use it, so in this case I get an extra available action, or I can flip it to gain 1 power token. If you flipped it, it's out of play. You know, you've still got the key, but you can't use its turn ability. So ideally you want to turn it, then flip it. But I'll hold that for later. So I might hold on to that, because I might get another healer. I will tilt this one to get another +1, which puts the Mystic in my sights for next round. I'll clear these off, untilt those. I take 2 spirit damage from the Mystic, so I go down to 17, 1 damage from the healer, 16. If I get down to 0, that's it. I've lost this particular Vignette. one more. Let's see if we can get the Mystic. Oh, Hobgoblin. Says when played, shuffle your discard into your deck. So that's my memory. So I have to shuffle that, which is sometimes useful because if you've thrown out good cards, you get them back again. Right. So what are we going to do with that? I get a memory card. I get the Memory of Honor. So I get +1 on my influence. You can also, another thing you can do is you can combine 2 memory cards and take the lowest value. So if I combine these, I could get a +1 on something. So it's quite expensive because you're losing 2 cards. If you've had an upgraded memory card that had 2s, I could then discard 2 2s and get +2 action on something. But I'm not going to do that because I think I can cope. Okay, so I've got 3 for 5, which is enough to take out the Mystic. So I will trundle that along there. And the Mystic is gone. And I've got Fight of 3, because they've all moved along. So I could use my key, use an additional action. So I'll put that on the side, and I will do a fight action for 3, and that will get rid of my Hobgoblin problem. I can still do a tilt because I can do 1 per round, so I might as well tilt that. And so you can see how you can build up these combinations, move things along, and things are looking much better now. And it would be end of round, so I do my spirit damage -1, and untap those. And I'm going to stop there because you've got the general idea of how it plays. You've seen it set up. I really like it. It's quite different. This combination of tilting and using cards and having them moving around with different power, using extra actions that you either get from cards or from collecting keys, working out which are the best threats to neutralize at different times, how you plan it together, saving memory cards. There's lots of combinations, and I'm pretty much only going through Vignette number 1. So yeah, I think that it's a really interesting solo experience. The fact that as you play it as a campaign, you can upgrade your memory cards as you go through the different sets of threats, and they upgrade as they get harder and harder. If you get the expansion box, it's got I think another 5 or 6 there's another 120 cards in there. So lots of different combinations. Yeah, I'm really liking it. So yeah, good job. All or Nothing. That is set up and a bit of a playthrough. Yeah, I very much enjoy it, and I'm going to carry on with this one, and hopefully get to Vignette number 2.